Welcome back to the Uncontested Investing Studio. I'm your host, Nate Zielinski, joined as always by my co-host, Suzanne Andreessen. I'm trying to think of the right adjective for you. Is it lovely, annoying? I haven't settled on one yet, but I'm just kidding. I love Suzanne.
It depends on what day of the week.
Right. Now, I'm happy to be joined by Suzanne as always. Suzanne, we've got a fun topic today. I think investors' ears will perk up when we start discussing some of the ins and outs of marketing your brand as a real estate investor. This is huge to kind of sell yourself. A lot of investors get so zoned in on finding properties, the bottom line. They forget about the personal side of things, right? So marketing yourself as a brand can take you to that next level as an investor. Where do you think we should start?
Well, you have to have a good brand. And I mean, when we go out and shop for something that we want to buy, it's always by brand or what we know. And so I think it's most important that as you're starting your career as an investor, that you really have the proper foundation that's going to allow you to expand on what your professional image is in the space and what you want to be known for. You know, it's key to that.
You make a good point. We're in a consumerist society. There's always marketed ads geared towards us buying into brands, being loyal to brands. So as an investor, that should be no different. The first thing you want to do is define your niche. What are you going to be successful at? Is it going to be a couple of different avenues? That's a little harder to manage, but it's not impossible if you're a real estate investor. But are you looking at fix and flips, long-term rentals, commercial properties? Are you getting maybe into the restaurant and hotel business, something along those lines?
Parking garage.
Exactly.
I mean, there's so many different avenues that you want to take a look at.
And it can change over time. Like we said, you can add into that, but really starting with one and trying to master that, see how it goes. Really, you have to look yourself in the mirror as an investor, say, what do I want to be successful at most? Go after that, attack that, and build your brand around that investment strategy.
Well, and that comes back to, 5 years ago, we were predominantly a fix and flip environment. I would say, 65% of the industry was fixing and flipping. But as the assets have become harder to acquire, some of those investors have decided to hold some of their portfolios. So they may be doing both fix and flip and buy and hold from a rental perspective. But you always want to make sure, from your brand, that if you're fixing and flipping, you're doing it with a quality product. Everyone wants to buy your asset if you put the good materials in it. You're building to the neighborhood standard. If the neighborhood's going to be granite, you need to put granite in there. And you want to make sure that you're matching those parameters to make sure that you're successful at it.
The next step would be identifying your target audience. So are you looking at sellers? Are you looking to attract buyers to invest with you, even investors to give you capital, partners that want to come along on the journey with you that you can use and kind of divide and conquer as an investor. So the audience is a huge key. It's how you grow your following. It's going to determine what type of content you create, the type of verbiage you're going to use, what platforms you may be posting on more so than others, which we'll get to in a little bit. But not only are you identifying your audience, but you're constructing your messaging as well. So it's important to be consistent, set schedules, get people familiar with the types of content you're creating, and keep up that presence, right? Don't just post, but also comment, be interactive. There's a lot of things that go into building your brand. It can't just be all about you and your page. It's about what your presence is on social media.
And try and get some testimonials. If you have a portfolio of rental property, have some of your residents say, they're very responsive to my maintenance requests. They have always been, kind to, and throw quarterly events for the community get together. Those are the things that you want to get known for and help to build kind of the testimonial base that you'll use later in your content and postings.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to ask your audience as well, right? Use your community to help you grow. They followed you for a reason. They want to see you succeed. They like the types of content that you create. So using them as a soundboard to kind of see where you should go next. What are they interested in? What do they want to learn more about? Things like that can really take your brand to the next level as an investor.
And it may be segmented out. You may have a very different message from your fix and flip than you will for your buy and hold. On the fix and flip, maybe you develop a niche component that every property that you sell after you've rehabbed it comes with a home warranty. So now you've got a quality product. It's got an insurance behind that. Or if it's a rental, you've got some things built in that are very attractive. Maybe it's a smart home device or something that some of the new residents are really looking for. So find a way to capitalize on that.
And as we mentioned, social media platforms is one of the biggest things the investor needs to understand when they're building their brand. social media has come miles in the past 10 years. There's so many different ways to utilize it, hashtags, different platforms, different trends on TikTok. I'm sure some of the investors out there have heard of them, but I think the big four right now, maybe five, is Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. So those are the platforms that you can really make a difference as an investor, but not all those platforms are created equal.
And, you have to be conscious. And again, you always want to keep your head held high because, a negative comment, what is the ratio? Is one person shares a good comment, 10 people share a bad comment, or one person shares a bad comment 10 times versus a good one. So you want to make sure that you're always staying in front of what your messaging is and how people are perceiving you, because when they replicate that information down the road, you want to make sure it's on the positive side.
Mm-hmm. And, what works on TikTok is not going to work per se on LinkedIn. What works on YouTube might not work on Facebook. So finding that delicate balance, there already are experts out there as well that have kind of blazed a trail for real estate investors that are looking to build their brand. So we're not recommending that you go copy exactly what an investor has already done. But I think some of the best are always taking bits and pieces from people that have come before them, implementing it into their own strategy. So try to find what works best for you, your personality, and see if there's other people out there that can kind of help you grow, be more confident, create different styles of content. And the worst thing you can do is not try new things as an investor that wants to build their brand, right? You can be in a room by yourself. It can take 50, 60, 70 takes. Who cares, right? As long as you get one, as long as it's edited. Spoiler alert, Suzanne and I, the podcast is edited. So, everybody is out there creating that perfect content. It might not look perfect to you, but don't get discouraged. Don't get down on yourself. Just keep going. The ones that are the consistent in the social media and branding are the ones that are successful.
What do you mean? This is our first take, Nate. We have not done a retake. But so let's talk about what we're doing today. This is a podcast, and our two companies have decided to use this as an informative platform for the investor arena. And that's something that you can bring into your business practice as well. Blogs, podcasts, email newsletters, and as an educational resource. So that's certainly what we do at REI Inc. magazine. We try and be informative in nature. And that's what you want all of your messaging to be, is providing something of value to your reader and to your audience. That's most important. And they'll deem you as the expert. And that's really what you want to be perceived as.
Yeah, I think that's an important distinction, right? Social media can be a very fun and lighthearted atmosphere, but at the end of the day, what's going to drive you forward as an investor is creating that content that impacts other people's lives. So the blogs and the educational posts, the how-to videos, the tutorials, those are the things that take you over the top. And then you can mix in a funny, silly video that kind of displays your personality. But really the crux of your brand should be training people, educating people, and providing value through your content.
So you're saying that we should dance in our next podcast? Just kidding.
Stay tuned.
Well, and I think if as we're going about doing this, there's all kinds of analytics as well. So as you start having your social media posts, figure out what has worked best for you. Look at the analytics, see, was it best on a Monday? Was it best in this format? And figure out what your audience is receiving and liking it as, and then replicate to that message.
Yep. And we're talking about social media platforms and posting videos. But one thing that's really going to help your brand is networking, going to trade shows and events, going to conferences, being involved in the community. That in-person touch is always going to trump social media. And the people that you meet in person can eventually become people that are featured on your videos on social media, right? So don't just go down the social media rabbit hole and only focus on creating content. You really can't forget about that personal touch in this industry.
And we do that a lot. We've taken this show on the road and have recorded at a couple of networking events, and it allows you to bring in a different flavor for each messaging strategy. Each person that we bring in as an interview provides a very different perspective and appearance as the other ones that we've had. So it's been a great strategy. And
people are going to remember you that much more. They'll see the videos, they'll probably like and comment, but once you meet someone in person, that connection is that much deeper, and now they're invested that much more in your content. They want to be part of your community, not just another account that they're going to scroll through on their feed or timeline.
And the next leg to this would be is some offline marketing with signage and direct mail and local sponsorships. And you could sponsor that little league team or find some things that you can do and give back to the community, because that's really going to help build a brand for you, which is really what we're trying to share as a strategy. You want to get your name out there in a positive light and show that you're community minded and happy to give back.
Exactly. Being one-dimensional is something that investors should avoid at all costs, right? The old-fashioned ways still work, like you mentioned, getting out in the community. I like that, sponsoring the Little League teams. I would love a little uncontested investing Little League team. I'd go to that game.
I'll get you a hard hit.
Right. So don't neglect other ways of marketing is essentially the moral of the story with that. That's very true, Suzanne.
And I'm a fan of, you go to those restaurants and they have the placemat, the paper placemat, and you do the word search and all of that. There's all but truly,
the maze. I'm a big fan of the maze.
Yeah, indeed. But but there's so many ways that are cost-effective strategies that you just don't know. And especially, if let's say you're looking for rentals, you've got a whole portfolio, and you've got some people that have come into town. They're going to be eating at the local watering hole, and now they see your name. Even though it's superficial on the sideline, they now you're out front and center of that.
Yep. It's that consistency. It's that repetition. It's getting them to remember your name, and then they'll match the name to the face when they see you on social media. So that's a perfect segue into creating that memorable brand, developing a unique value proposition. Why should people be following you? How do you stick out from your competition? And what makes you you, as I think are 3 tenets that people creating their own brand should look into.
And you always want to be, the professional side to it. You can have humor. Nate and I certainly enjoy jousting with each other, but we try and bring as much professional information to you. And we're sharing, what we have resourced in the space, and we communicate with several people all the time. Yep. And I think it's a great way for you, to get your message out there in a professional format and find what works. I mean, it really, truly is going to be a trial and error.
Creating websites, keeping your profile up to date, and not being afraid to show testimonials, I think are 3 huge things when you're trying to craft an online presence. It completes your brand, right? If somebody goes to your social media platforms, but they don't know how to get in touch with you, whether that's an email, whether that's a website, you want them to be able to take the next step on their journey, take it one step farther than just creating a video and actually having them work with you or work for you in the future, I think is that next step for investors creating their brand.
Absolutely. We're doing that here, even for our brands as well.
And then, we love having guests on the podcast here as well. And that ties into storytelling, sharing successes, lessons, real life experiences. People online are going to connect with what's real. They want to follow somebody that they think is, potentially their friend, someone they're going along on a journey with. So anytime you're able to share a real story or interview someone and add that extra level of value, I think that connects so much more with your potential audience online.
100%. And it doesn't get any more real than real estate.
Exactly.
Just saying.
I like that tagline. We're going to start getting shirts with that. I think moving on, though, reputation and credibility matter. We kind of talked about that with building your credibility as it pertains to creating a website. But online reviews are one thing I think that we really need to discuss when you talk about building a brand as an investor. Not only reviews, but comments, potential testimonials. You don't want to get too involved with this, too emotional, right? People are always posting on social media to try to get that reaction. So don't succumb to that. Always, always, always maintain a level of professionalism. Whether you respond or not, sometimes no response is the best response. But if you are, just be professional as possible. It's easy to just delete the comment and move on. Don't get bogged down and let that take away from the image that you're trying to build up or the work that you're trying to do as a real estate professional.
But also learn from the comment. Maybe the way they said it wasn't the best way they could have presented it, but it could be a factual comment nonetheless. And find a way to, reach out. Thank you for your information. I didn't realize that was the situation, and I'm more than happy to try and make it. What can I do to make it better for you? And always ask for buy-in. Find a way to get buy-in from the people. No different than a testimonial. I want to try and find the best way. If you have an issue, fix it.
Yeah. I think when you're creating an online personality, you're being a presence on social media, you have to have thick skin, but you also have to know the difference between somebody trying to bait you with a comment and someone trying to actually give you constructive criticism. So know the difference, respond accordingly, and you should be fine. The last thing we want to say that can improve credibility and reputation: align with other creators that are reputable or that fit with your brand, right? Getting someone else in front of the camera, collaborating through social medias, it allows you to, one, be more reputable, and two, grow your audience. Because not only are you sending that video to your audience, but the creator that you're working with is sending it to theirs as well. So that's a tried and true way to get new followers and expand that community.
And you could find a collaboration. So maybe, you've got a rental property and you have a moving company that you can collaborate on. That's very equal messaging from that perspective. So find, great partnerships. It's always good to have, a tag team type of thing.
So for creating your brand on Uncontested Investing, this has been a solid episode so far. Suzanne and I, as always, are going to take a quick break, let our sponsors jump in here, but we can't wait to wrap this episode up with some advanced strategies for creating your brand and the common mistakes and pitfalls we always want to be making sure that we're giving advice that people should be avoiding. And this is no different. So stay tuned for this week's episode of Uncontested Investing. We'll be right back.
We'll see you soon. REI Inc. is the premier monthly publication for real estate investors. Dive into a wealth of expert insight and strategies from industry leaders and gain valuable regional market insights, ensuring you always have the best information at your fingertips. Visit rei-ink.com to elevate your real estate investment game today.
Welcome back to this week's episode of Uncontested Investing. This is your host, Nate Zielinski. I'm joined by Suzanne Andreessen. And Suzanne, today we've taken some time to discuss marketing your brand as a real estate investor. I think it's been a very helpful conversation. We want to finish off with some more strategies and some mistakes for all investors out there to avoid that are just thinking about getting on social media, looking to build that brand. Where should we start?
I believe leveraging your partnerships and collaborations to expand your reach. Find out who can support you. Do you have a great relationship with a real estate agent? Do you have a great relationship with a funding partner? These are all people that you're going to have in the space that you can support each other's needs.
Yep. Doesn't always have to be just investor to investor collaboration. You make a good point. There's a lot of industry professionals out there looking to help. And as an investor, you need to be well-rounded. We've talked about it throughout the course of the year. There's so many different ways that people can help you. There's so many different ways that you can be successful. So creating content that caters to every different avenue of real estate is huge. And it's a way to not run out of content ideas, right? You're always keeping it fresh. You're always bringing a different face on for people to meet and connect with. So it's a win-win when you're collaborating with other professionals.
And how many times you see that postcard in the mailbox with around a holiday with a recipe on it? And that, it's a subliminal message, a subtle message, but it's still your front and center. Yep. And find ways to stay out in front of that.
Yep. And I know a popular one for today's industry professional is LinkedIn, but that's pretty much usually only always text or photos. So always try to mix it up with video content. We've given examples of Instagram, TikTok. There's even Snapchat out there. So there's so many different ways that you can reach your audience from a video perspective. Virtual tours of properties are always videos that do well. How-to videos. So if you're doing a tour of your property, but then you get to the bathroom and something in the bathroom isn't working properly, that's when you take the time to switch the video to maybe a how-to. As an investor, you can save so many people out there money if they don't have to hire a contractor. You say, this fix is much easier than you think. Let me show you how to do it. Video ideas like that can go a long way.
Sure. Or baking an apple pie when you're having showings. I mean, there's all these things that it creates this image that when you're no longer there, can they still carry your message forward?
Exactly. Now, there's so many different levels to how you can fit into the social media world as a real estate investor, and the personal touches like that cannot be forgotten. You don't always have to be talking into the camera, trying to give advice or strategies about where to invest in next or what properties. So it's a great way to break up the content, to be honest, to add that personal touch to it.
And we talked about this a little bit before, measuring the results. You want to find, from tracking the leads, engagement, and brand recognition. And you may find some work better than others. So figure out what your audience is most susceptible to and build upon that.
Yep. It's trial and error. So there, like we said, there's so many options in the social media world. It's what works best for you. And, sometimes when you're creating this brand and this presence, you do have to get out of your comfort zone a little bit. So not only what's best for you, but what's best for your audience. Where are they connecting with you most? What social media platform are you getting the most views, the most comments, the most feedback? And maybe that's where you should be focusing the lion's share of your attention. Now, you can't neglect the other platforms, but there should be one that takes that clear-cut lead that you really can connect with an audience and grow your brand.
And I like something you said, and, I always think about always, baking a pie or something, but giving them a tool, a fix or something. And here's how you fix a leaky faucet. Here's how from the toilet that keeps flushing. Here's how you fix whatever that valve is, whatever. But I know that's a way to fix things, though.
Suzanne and I certainly don't know how to fix them. But for you as the investor out there, if you know how to fix it, that's the type of content you should be making, right? And hey, we'll watch that video, we'll like it, and maybe we can use it for our next bathroom renovation project. So keep that in mind.
The never-ending toilet. That's
As for mistakes or pitfalls you should avoid, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but the generic brand is a huge no-no. Taking too much of what someone else has already done, it can come off as you're trying to copy another social media presence. So try to avoid that at all costs. Be you, be unique, be real. As we mentioned, that's what connects most with other people on social media. It's the real stories and it's the authentic self that shines through.
And also not investing enough time in consistency and visibility. Put the effort in. If you want to if you want the response, you need to really put the effort into it.
Yep. If you're intentional about having that social media presence, you need to stick to it and you need to be consistent. Only recording 3 to 5 videos and not getting the feedback you wanted, or not getting the likes or whatever it may be, or the responses that you are looking for, don't get too discouraged. A lot of people in this industry, not only when they're trying to build a brand, but investing in real estate in general, they get too discouraged too easily and they give up. If 1 or 2 deals doesn't go their way at the beginning, they maybe think that they're not cut out for it. It's the same when you're trying to build a brand on social media. Consistency is key. It takes time. It takes reps. And you know what? You're not going to be perfect the first time you do it. So the 10th time, the 15th time, the 20th time, I guarantee if you go back and watch the first piece of content that you do and the 20th piece of content you do, that'll be night and day. You'll be so much more comfortable in front of the camera. You'll have a crafted message. So just be consistent with it is one of the biggest things.
Well, and set a schedule. Say every Thursday I'm going to post this, or every other Thursday, whatever it is, but stick to it. And you want it because that's the only way. The consistency and the repetitive nature is what's really going to help build your brand.
Yep. And last but certainly not least, focusing only on marketing properties and not yourself. As we've mentioned, the platform is there for you to build a brand. It's for you to show your personality so people can connect with you. If you're just consistently talking about properties and only doing one type of content, people will probably tune out quicker than they would on another person's social media page, right? So it's that diversity in content and marketing yourself. Social media is that perfect opportunity. So take advantage of it.
And bring in the community that you're in. So like we talked about, the sponsoring the Little League team or something that where here's this 123 Main Street. And oh, by the way, the Bears and the baseball team are second in the state finals. This is great.
Yep. So it's another level, right? Not only are you marketing yourself, but you're marketing people in your community. Use those opportunities to connect, collaborate, and build content for months and years to come, right? You can always reach back out to these people, say, hey, that piece of content that we did actually did pretty good. What do you think we should do for a follow-up, right? So always be having conversations like that. Stay on your toes, stay consistent, and always remember to market yourself.
I agree.
So for marketing your brand as a real estate investor, I think that just about covers it, Suzanne. That was a great episode. We hope you guys learned a lot, and we'll see you on social media. We can't wait for you to tag us. We can't wait for you to tag us in your videos. Uncontested Investing will be watching, cheering on, supporting. We're happy to help, and we'll see you next week on Uncontested Investing.
See you soon.
Thank you for listening to Uncontested Investing. Questions about today's episode or the podcast? Email podcast@rcncapital.com and make sure to follow REI Inc. magazine on LinkedIn and Facebook, and RCN Capital on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. See you all next time.